Okay. Hello. I'm going to start. Okay, I know more people are still going to come in. Let me start by saying, can you, hello, wait, more people are coming in. All right, hang on. All right. I'm Professor Yaverbaum. It's great to see your black boxes. It's great to see you, so to speak. I want to first of all, can someone give me any indication at all whether you can hear me? I mean, can you either put in the chat or say something, or could someone tell me whether you can hear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Okay. And I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to thank you, Charlie, if I got that right. And thank you, Gayla, if I've got that right. And please tell me if I've said your name, if I've said your names wrong or right, but I believe that was Charlie and Gayla. And am I?
Jayla, but it's okay.
Sorry, no, it's not. I mean, thank you. Okay, Jayla, like Jayla, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, cool. Thank you. All right. So let me say, and Charlie, great. Thank you. You're going to see, I totally appreciate that all of you are on. I mean, I get that all of you are on mute, and I get that your videos are off. We'll talk about that. I totally understand that that's the industry standard, so to speak. Let me say again, though, I'm Professor Yaverbaum. This is Physics 203. You're totally in the right place. Let me count. Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, someone was not in the right place, apparently. This is Physics 203. This is John Jay, Physics 203. I'm going to make that clear in a second. I'm Professor Yaverbaum. Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Oh, there should be 12 total. So most of us are here already. That's great. One second. Yeah, okay, and you should see, and I assume you can see the screen. This is the way it's going to work. Like there will always be me, there will always be a screen, like the whiteboard, which we use as a whiteboard, blah, blah, blah. All those details to come. I have much to tell you, obviously. So let me start by saying, this is a Zoom class, obviously, or, this is remote learning, obviously. But it's we're going to make this as real of a class as we can under the circumstances. We've all had a few semesters to practice now and figure out how to do this. Oh, more people coming. Hold on. Like the first thing I do want to say, and I'm going to appreciate your patience and your sensitivity, and you'll appreciate mine. Like I get how hard and rough and annoying it is to learn this way. It's also super annoying to teach this way. But this is, and it's technically a asynchronous online mixed class or whatever, but I want you to know you did the right thing by coming to this Zoom today at the right time. And that is the way it's going to be every Monday and Wednesday. I mean, whenever we have class scheduled, like it is a class in this way, like you'll show up and I will talk and I will go over problems on this whiteboard. Like we're going to gather as a class for these class periods for Monday and Wednesday from 10:50 to 12:15, 12:05. I know you also have a lab period, with the separate instructor. We'll talk about that. But that too, as annoying as obviously that's going to be online and you're getting used to that. We're all getting used to that. But it is a lab class. You're going to do stuff there. She'll talk to you about that, or he, I can't, but just the first warning I want to give everybody, or the first blessing I want to get, for good or bad, this is a real class in that sense that we will be meeting twice a week together at this time. And the more you're actually here, it will matter. It will benefit you. Well, like, in other words, this is not just a document exchange for good or for bad. Okay. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is how this is going to work as a class. Um, I have a lot to say. I know that the fact that you're here at all already means you already like check your email and you got the Zoom link for me. That means we're already on a great foot, honestly. Like, it means you got communication from me in the right time, which I'm pleased about, but it means you're totally responsible citizens who like knew how to check things in advance. And I know for a fact, we're going to get this in a minute, there should be a total of 12 people here ultimately, unless someone already dropped. And I know before the class even started, I know at least, I think 7 of you, maybe 8 of you had already joined the Google Classroom thing too, which is terrific. And I want to thank you. We're going to get to that. I'm going to be using your names. I want to warn you right now that anytime I use any one of your names, you really should correct me from the start so that I am saying them right, or saying whatever name you want me to say correctly. It is important for me to get to know you as well as I can under the circumstances. Like, back in the day at John Jay, when we were in the building, it was a very big deal to me to actually know people and to know them by name. I think it helped them, it helped me. Again, for good or for bad, but it is I want this to be a human experience as much as we can. So I'm saying all that to say, I'm going to be using your names. You're going to see that. Like, I'm going to say hello to you by name when you come in. I'm going to say goodbye to you by name when you leave. And anything I do when I use your name, I promise you right now, it is to try to keep us all as human and involved with each other as we can. I will never, if I use your name, it's not to call on you because I thought you were falling. I'll never call on somebody cold or anything like that. But like, I will say hello to you when you walk in. And even if you walk in late, I'm going to say hello. And it's not to point out that you're late. And I understand that people are going to come and go. Like, I totally understand sitting in front of the computer for 75 minutes is crazy town. You got to come and go. You got to deal with your children. You got to deal with your jobs. You got to deal with your households. You got to go to the bathroom, whatever. That's all cool. I understand you're going to be coming and going. And I mean, even though that's not always ideal, I totally get you're going to turn off your screens. You're going to turn off your video. You're going to mute. You're going to walk. That's all cool. And I will never, ever embarrass anybody intentionally for any of that. But I am saying that whoever is here, whenever you're here, we're going to try to be here as people and interact. You'll see more and more what I mean. Anyway, I'm just right now, let me start by saying, to give you an example, like I'm going to say right now, hello, Daniela. Hello, and tell me if I'm saying your name wrong, but hello, Daniela. Hello, Charlie. Hello, Noel. Hello, Lakshmi. Sorry. Hello, Julian. Hello, Alyssa. Hello, Soad. Hello, Brianna. Hello, Jayla. Hello, Vivian. Like, that's who I see is here so far. I'm just saying hello to you. You can write in the chat if I just said your name wrong, or if you prefer to go by something else or whatever. I'm also going to say right now, thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Noel. Thank you, Soad. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you, Bree. Oh, which is Brianna. Okay, that's cool. Thank you, Jayla. Thank you, Farouk. Thank you, Charlie, because all of you that I just mentioned your names have already signed up for Google Classroom. That's huge. That saved us a lot of hassle already. It also shows that you and I are on the same page. Like, that kind of was your first assignment. It was a super important one and you did it. So we're in communication, and all of you, let's see, let me just make sure of one thing. And again, this is not to embarrass. This is to cross collate. Farouk, I just want to see. Farouk can I ask? Oh, no, Farouk is totally here. Okay, no, this totally works. Wait, so all the names are correlated. That's great. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. 1, 2. So 9 of you. Okay, so I just mentioned 9 names. Those are 9 people that did join the Google Classroom. That's great. Will be used. That I think you already get. If you already did it, you already get that. It's all about Google Classroom from here on in. You never have to look at Blackboard again. Whether that's good news or bad news, I don't know. But I forget that it exists from this point on, okay? Everything that I send you will be through Google Classroom. Hopefully you gave me an email address that you like, because everything that's going to come to you is going to come to you to that email address that you used in Google Classroom. What was I going to say about that? All assignments, all grades, everything. So, and some of you have used Google Classroom before, like maybe in high school, and some of you have not. if you signed up, the mere fact that you joined it already means you did the hardest part. Like, it's like any other Google thing. I believe it's very largely self-explanatory. Of course, if you have any issues with it, I'll help you along the way. But I can tell you right now, you're going to submit all your assignments through Google Classroom. You're going to get all your grades through Google Classroom, etc. notification. So I would recommend, if you've never used it before, I would recommend getting the app on your phone or iPad or whatever. And I would recommend turning on notifications. Like, and I'm not trying to take over your life. Of course, you have a million other classes and all of that. But I do find that this makes things a lot easier. I think it's a lot better than Blackboard. It's just my personal opinion. Your lab instructor will use it as well. I can also tell you that if you're a John Jay student, this is the first of your 2 physics, you're going to take Physics 204 after this. Assuming things go well here for you, you're going to take Physics 204 after this. I can tell you right now that first of all, almost definitely I'll be your instructor for that as well. But even if I'm not, everything we do in physics in every physics class is the same kind of formatting, kind of standard. We all use Google Classroom in all the physics classes. So for good or for bad, whatever systems we lay down today, whatever systems you get used to in my class this semester, hopefully you'll like. But even if you don't like them, I can tell you that they're not going to change up on you next semester. So, whatever you get used to here will help you hit the ground running in the next physics course you take, even if it ends up being 102 instead of 204 or something like that. We do it all the same. Now I'm going to check one thing real quick. Sorry, I won't just babble this whole period either, but I will hold you the whole bit. We will be here. I'm looking again. 1, 2, 3. Wait, the total number. So there are supposed to be 12. What did I just say? So a couple people. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. Okay, a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah. So a couple of you, there's just quiet. And I'll also do this too. You notice I just thanked the people that did join Google Classroom. I mean that, like, thank you. And that means you did it right, like, good. It also means there's a couple of you who haven't done it yet. Not a crisis, no one's in trouble. And you notice I'm not calling you guys by name. My point is not ever to like shame anybody or call anybody out. But if I didn't call your name a minute ago, that means you didn't join Google Classroom yet. And please do. In fact, let me put that link in the chat right now. Hang on one second. And again, even if you've never used Google Classroom before, if you just go to the link that I'm about to put in the chat, if you haven't done this, if you just go to this link, it'll take you from there. I mean, if you've gotten this far and can use Zoom, I'm pretty sure you won't have a major problem with this. So hold on one second. But please do this, like one way or another, because I will tell you, I mean, after today, like it literally is everything is through Google Classroom, as particularly the grading. So until you join Google Classroom, you won't know what the assignments are. I won't get work from you. You won't have grades. Like you won't really exist in the class until you join Google Classroom. So please do, if you haven't. So here, and feel free to do it right now while I'm talking. Like that would be a good thing. I would sort of like that to be done by the end of class. In fact, we're even going to do a practice. We're even going to hand in one homework today during the class to make sure we all know how to do that. We might even, you might even get it back today, just so we can all make sure that we like have the systems in place. Now, those of you who already did join Google Classroom, hopefully you already saw the class. We'll talk about that. You may have already seen that the syllabus is there. We'll talk about that. But if you once you join this classroom, you'll see, hopefully, that, and you have to scroll and stuff like that. But like, there's different categories. You know, I would suggest you always go to the sub menu that's called assignments, or I think it's called assignments. And there's also a sub menu called material, but the syllabus is there under a chapter heading called tools. There are a couple of homeworks already there. They already have due dates already assigned. Of course, I'm going to talk about that all today. I didn't expect anybody to do any homework for today, I promise. And I certainly didn't expect anybody to pay for a textbook. And if you did, privately, if you already paid money for a textbook, privately tell me. If it was the right textbook, then that's cool. And even though it was very expensive, it is the same textbook for next semester as well. So don't worry about it. But if you didn't spend the money yet, don't. Like, just hold off on that. because it won't really be necessary. But what am I trying to say? So technically all information that you need for the class is in the Google Classroom already, like the first couple assignments, but you weren't expected to do them before today. You will be expected. And oh, you will notice, I totally appreciate what, I'm not going to call anybody out, but you'll notice that people, I'll never force anybody to use video. I'll never force anybody to unmute. I'll never force anybody to talk, but you will start seeing, we're going to start talking about that people get extra points that actually matter in their grade for doing any of those kinds of things, like not to call anybody out, but for example, someone's showing their video right now, she's going to see, she's totally going to get points for that. Okay. And I totally appreciate it, like for reals. Okay. I'm going to explain by the end of today where she's going to submit, like she's going to just like take 1 second at some point and just like screen, or she might want to screenshot it right now, but whatever, I'll believe her. She's going to take 1 second at one point and just write down, yeah, I showed video on the first day of class, and I'm going to show you what portal she's going to put that in, and then that's going to be points on her grade. And anybody can do that at any time. There's other things like that. I'm going to explain that. But so the idea is like the more you actually interact or participate or contribute to it in ways such as voice or video, the more you're going to get points. If you don't do those things, you don't get zeros and you don't get punished and blah, blah. But there's a certain kind of gaming attitude towards all of this where we're just like trying to collect coins, so to speak, as we go for doing good things. And showing video is one of those things. So I totally appreciate it. And I'm also going to say, if she turned it off at any time now, no harm, no foul. It was just a bonus that she put it on for when she did. And it helps because the more I can know you all, the more we can know each other, the better. Okay. So we're going to, so while I'm talking, please do join Google Classroom if you didn't already. If you did already, maybe scroll through and see if you see how it works or whatever while I'm talking. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and about how to expect things in the class. And then we're going to actually do work today. But first of all, so my name is Yaverbaum. It rhymes with Cadaverbaum. It rhymes with Cadaver Town, even, I guess. It's an unusual name. I guess it's a German Jewish name. I can tell you right now that to this point in my life, anybody I've ever heard of or met who has the name Yaverbaum is related to me in some ways that I know, even before 23andMe or whatnot. Like I don't know anybody in the world that has this name that is not in my family as yet, for what it's worth. Okay, that, yeah. I'm 50 years old. I turned 50 in COVID, thank you very much, or in quarantine, whatever. I have a coffee mug to prove it. I've been teaching this level of physics since 1992. I'm not always at John Jay. I've been at John Jay since 2010 or 2011, but I've been teaching this level of physics, this material of physics, since 1992. Okay, that on the one hand, that means I've been teaching about 27 years. That means I've been thinking about, and I love it. I don't know if I hope that, it's hard for that to come through in Zoom, but I love teaching physics. I love this material. I love what I do for a living. I feel very blessed and very lucky to do it. To a lot of people, it seems like I've been doing the same damn thing every day for 27 years. It is just as exciting and nerve-wracking to me every day as it always has been. Now, the fact that I've been teaching for 27 years, on the one hand, means I have been thinking about physics for more years on this planet than many of you have been thinking about anything. Like I've been doing this longer than some of you are alive. I do want that out there. So I have some thoughts on the topics of teaching physics, and I have some ways of doing things. That's on the one hand. Maybe that's even asking, maybe that's like a shout out to me. But on the other hand, I've been teaching on Zoom or in quarantine or in COVID or in a remote learning environment for exactly as long as you all have been learning in it, right? I mean, and I mean that for real. Like I do have a little experience in the area of physics, and I do have like 2 graduate degrees and a college degree, blah, blah. So I have a little experience in teaching physics, but I have only exactly the same amount of experience teaching this way as you guys do learning it. And believe me, I know it sucks. I want to make that clear. Like this is not, whenever I say I love teaching physics and I, chose to do this for a living, I didn't envision it this way. Like most of what I love about it is in the classroom and in the lab and being with people like you and actually like doing physics in the physical world. Okay, this is obviously weird. I know we're all getting used to it. I know it's like the 5th semester or something of doing this. But right from the get-go, I want you to know I have total sympathy of how super demotivating this is. It's very hard to stay motivated. It's very hard to keep caring. It's very hard to keep the faith in whatever reason you guys all signed up for college in the first place. I totally get that. I will be very sympathetic to that as we go. In fact, let me make another thing clear before we go any further. Like physics can be hard. Physics can be hard. You may have heard that. Physics can be hard. But let me tell you right now, I view my job as to be here to try to make it more accessible, not less accessible. I feel like nature is already complex. Nature is already hard to grasp. Our job as physicists is to try to make nature, Mother Nature, Father Time, whatever. Our job as physicists is to try to get more access to nature, to get some way of simplifying it enough to fit it in our mind. That's our job as physicists. Therefore, our job as physics teachers better be to pass that on to you guys. We're here to make nature, space, time, matter, energy more accessible, more simple, more clear, not less. Like, I'm not saying I always succeed in that, but I'm saying that's my job. My job is not to make your life harder. My job is to try and make your life easier. Whether that means have an easier time understanding the beauty that is physics, or an easier time getting through the difficulty of school and job and graduate school and all that stuff. What I mean by that all sounds very abstract and like anybody could say that, but let me be more clear. Some things are going to be hard along the way. Some things are going to be hard just because physics is hard, or something's going to be hard because I'm going to mess them up by accident, or because I'm human. But there's the blunt thing I'm trying to say is there's no limit to how many A's I'm willing to enter into CUNY first at the end of the semester. Let me be as clear as I can about that. There are classes and there are professors and there are systems in the world where there's a certain number of A's that people can get and in a class, and past that, everybody else has to get a B or a C or a D or an F. There are some classes even where nobody can get an A. We all know this, right? Whether it's by rules or design or attitude, there are classes that are meant for people not to get A's in. Or there are classes where the bell curve is so strictly believed in that only this fraction of people, that A means you're in the top 1/5 of the class. And if you're not in that one top fifth, whatever you did, you don't get an A. I want to be clear right from the get-go that that's not my attitude. That might have been my attitude in my first 10 years of teaching, maybe, but it isn't now. My attitude is I'm here to help you guys get A's. If every single one of you got an A in this class, it would not be a problem for me. I wouldn't be fired. I wouldn't feel, I mean, if it happened every semester, I probably would feel that my class was like too easy or something, but that would be a change over time. If you all got an A in this class, I would put A for every single one of you in CUNY first. And I would feel like, great, I love this class. And that almost kind of happened last semester. Okay, there's I'm here to fight to try to help along the way, each one of you get an A. And it does, and your A's don't come out of my pockets. It's not like conservation of energy or conservation of mass, where for you to gain an A, I have to lose one. No. If you all get A's, I feel like and it's fair if it was not by cheating, and we'll talk about that. But if you all legitimately earn an A in this class, then I feel like legitimately we all succeeded. So on the one hand, I want to make it clear from day one, you're as much as we can say this, you're not competing with each other to get an A from me. And you're not competing against me to get an A. My job is to every day show you how to get an A and to hope that you strive to do that. And I will not be disappointed if all of you succeed in doing your job. And I mean that. And I want that to be clear on the day one, because it sort of affects how people do work in a class, okay? It is possible for every single one of you to get an A in this class, especially if you feel like you do everything I ask you to do. I mean, everything reasonable, everything academic. On the other hand, one of the reasons I can say that, one of the reasons I can say I've got no problem giving everybody an A, and one of the reasons I don't worry that, like, when I turn in my grades to CUNY first, that like the registrar or my department chair, someone's going to say like, his class is a joke, like everybody's getting an A, like he's not, he's probably just gifting the A's away. He's probably not teaching anything. They're probably not doing anything. The reason I don't worry about that is that, well, there's a number of reasons, but one main reason I don't worry about that is that semester after semester, when I try to design systems to help everybody get an A, and semester after semester, when I make this speech, and semester after semester, where tons of people do get A's, and they do. And last semester, a ton of people over the summer in 204 got A's, like really, like a ton. But I also want you to know that every single semester, there are people that get F's and D's, or sometimes incompletes, but F's and D's and C minuses, not as many, but there are every semester people that get F's and D's and C minuses in the class. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody at all, but I'm saying, in fact, that the fact that every semester there's enough people that just like, for whatever reason, won't do everything that the class asked them to do, or can't, or I don't know, or like hit a life circumstance that's tricky or this or that. Every semester, there's enough people that don't do what needs to be done, that they get F's and D's, that what that does is frankly save the system for all the rest of us. Every semester shows that there's a legitimate system here, that where if you do get an A, I'm telling you right now, you can get one. You can, and it doesn't matter what your high school physics background is. It doesn't matter what your math background is. It is totally possible to get an A in this class, and I want you to get one. And if you do get one at the end, I also want to tell you right now, don't consider it a gift or a joke or something that you didn't earn or something that was automatic that you just got for showing up, because I'm telling you right now that if you do walk away with an A, there's at least one person in the room who didn't, who walked away with an F, thereby proving that you actually did have to do something to get your A. In fact, and I'm saying this again as a positive, I don't know you also, this is also why I'm saying it on the first day. I'm not talking about anybody in the room. I have no reason to believe that any one of you is going to be the person that gets an F. Okay. But I'm also, let me flip this. This is a compliment. If you're in this class at this point, if you've even gotten to physics at John Jay, particularly physics 203, it probably, first of all, means you're in the forensic science department. I mean, there are some exceptions, but if you're in physics 203, you're probably a forensic science major at John Jay. We'll find out. But or maybe you're a mole bio major at John Jay. Maybe you're a tox major, or maybe you're from another school. But put it this way: if you're in physics 203 at this point, you're doing science for real somewhere, and this ain't your first walk around the rodeo, right? If you've gotten to college physics already, the required college physics that's calculus based, it means you've already done some real science and some real math to get this far. Another video, that's awesome. That is points. I'm going to show you how that's awesome. And I like that. Okay. And again, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I do appreciate it. And I do notice it. If you've gotten this far, and thank you both, you've already suffered through some science. You've paid some dues in some math classes, probably in high school and definitely in college, right? And you may even, and that's not even with COVID, right? I mean, you've already done some hard stuff in like real life. Then you continue to suffer through and get through classes even in COVID and quarantine. So all of you, if you're sitting here, you know how to do hard things. You know what it is to compete. You know what it is to have crazy classes where you don't even know if you're going to pass. And you also know, sorry, I'm just going to change you also know, well, some of you may have already had a moment or two of crisis where you're not sure if you could go on in this program, or or maybe some of you thought, I can go on, but is it really worth it, right? You may have already had one of those moments. If you haven't, you may still have, almost everybody has one of those moments at some point in this science program. It's a very hard program to get through in the best of circumstances. I got through some hard programs myself, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here. But I got to tell you, I didn't happen to go to John Jay. Almost every other physics professor you'll have, whether it's for your lab or your next course or whatever, almost any other physics person you have actually went through the program that you're in right now. And they all suffered too. And they all had moments of crisis, but then they sort of rock started somehow or other by the end, and that's why they got this job. I'm telling you, I totally admire anybody who can get through the John Jay Forensic Science or the Mole Bio program, or the Tox program, or if you happen to be an e-permit student, again, like whatever you're doing that got you here, you're doing something hard. You're doing something that has my utmost admiration and respect from the get-go. I don't know you yet, but I know that if you're here, I respect what you've done already. And why I'm saying all that is that those programs are just like this class. In that, one of the hard things about this program, the John Jay program in particular, the John Jay Forensic Science program in particular, one of the hard things is that it's like hard to get through. one of the hard things is that some people start and they don't finish. I'm sure you know that. Every year there are people that started but can't get through the end, that drop out or are edged out. Hopefully that's none of you guys. But that fact, and every year people are upset about that. And every year there's debates about, oh my God, there's too high of a percentage of people that don't make it through, or there's too low of a percentage of people that don't get it through, blah, 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 blah. I want to tell you guys, as the people that are making it through, as you stand here today, one of the things that makes your degree so legitimate, so real when you get to the end, one of the reasons that you will get a job, if there is any job for anybody to get in this generation, and even COVID, if there are whatever jobs there are left out there, whether it's with the FBI or whether it's with, I just forgot what, wherever it is, or graduate school spots, whatever is left on the, whatever prizes people are seeking on the other side of their undergraduate degree, you guys are still the people that are in a position to get those prizes. And part of the reason is that everybody knows this is a real program. And the reason they know it's a real program is that people don't automatically get through it just for paying tuition dollars or just for signing up at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that it's hard to get through, the fact that you are not guaranteed to get through it just because you started, means automatically that if you do get through, you've done something real. Okay. And so already I want to remind you, because COVID is hard and all that stuff, everything is hard. But if you're still moving along in this program, then you're doing something very real. In any moment that you stop and think, oh my God, wait, should I go on or should I not? Am I one of the people that's cut out to go on or not? I don't know if I'm cut out for this. As long as you just keep moving, then you are one of those people. And when you get to the other side, you win because some people didn't. That's the real competition that's happening. Same thing in this class. If you do everything that we're supposed to do, and I'm going to explain what that is, if you just stay with me and we just break it down and go step by step, whatever we're trying to do, you will be tested. Your exams will be on the material that we do here in class. The exams don't come from a textbook. They come from what we do in class. So it's important to show up and pay attention, all that. But if you take the exams, that's one, and you do really well on them, that's one way to get an A. If you don't do really well on the exams, there's other ways to get an A, chiefly through all the homework, which we're going to talk about. If you just keep going and you keep following instructions, the A is your, or God forbid, a B+, which is still a very good grade in science. But if you just truck along and have faith and stay with me, there's no limit to how many A's I'm happy to put down. And part of the reason is that there's just enough to do in this class that some people won't do it. And they will be the ones that preserve the legitimacy of the system for you who do, if that makes any sense. Because it's meant to be an encouraging thing, not a discouraging thing. But again, my hat is off to you if you've even come this far and you're even in this class. And by the way, I'm babbling. I hope it's not just all babbling like this every time, hopefully. But please, it's the first day. Obviously, we're all shy and stuff like that. But please, and I'm going to try to stop and really answer questions about how the class works. I mean, technically, it's all in the syllabus, which technically is in the Google Classroom. But I'm going to try to be more nuts and bolts here. It won't be interesting. It'll just be important. But please, if there's anything I'm saying that's ambiguous at all or whatever, please at least put it in the private chat for today. And I will stop and answer. And I won't embarrass you. But I'd rather, have some sense that I'm getting across than not. And I'm going to, and I know the whiteboard is taking up a lot of real estate too, but I'm going to use that to write things down, or generally I do anyway. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm just going to pause and see if everybody joined the Google Classroom or not. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, it looks like everybody did. That's fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. That is great. Wait, and thank you for showing me 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's great. Okay. So everybody who's here did join the Google Classroom. I really appreciate that. And then let me just check one other thing. That means there's one person who's not here. Okay. And I'm just making sure, and you're going to see too, I don't take attendance. I won't be, we'll talk about all that. You want to be here just because you want to be here, but I'm not, I'm not gonna like literally be taking attendance once we're getting going, but I'm just trying to make sure the roster's all right and stuff. So forgive me if I say this wrong, but Rydia Magnolia, is there Rydia Magnolia in the room in any way? No. Okay, so she's all right. So all the rest of you, you're totally on Google Classroom. That's great. I'm going to address the materials in there in a minute. Let me also, before I forget, I mean, we'll talk about the homeworks and the grading and all that. Let me also, well, yeah, let me also point out, for good or for bad. Well, I think it's largely for good. We are recording. Okay, I know that does have an impact on it, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to tell you right now, and I know that it does have an adverse impact on some of you on whether you want to participate or not. But I will tell you, this is what I've been doing. It took me a little while to get these systems going, but I feel like now I do have a way of teaching remotely that actually works. So one thing is that every class gets recorded, and then I post the whole class on YouTube that night. Okay. I post it, I put as soon as I mean, it takes a little while to upload, I mean, and all of that, but once it's posted on YouTube, then I put the link right in Google Classroom. So you get a notification. So it'll be like class 1, class 2, class 3, etc. And that's there so that you can rewatch parts when you're doing the homework, when you're studying for exams. Also, obviously, if you missed anything, it's for the obvious reason. It's one advantage that we have doing these things remotely, that every single thing we do here will be available to you on YouTube, on my channel, like within 24 hours of once we've done it. And it'll all be in a playlist called P203 Fall 21. So it'll all be there. Now, I know on the one hand, I know that means that some people will probably talk less than they otherwise would have, and that's a bummer. That's too bad. I wish it weren't the case. But on the other hand, it means literally every single thing we do, you can always re-access as much as you want, and I encourage you to do so. I will also say that if you do subscribe to the channel, of course, then you'll get faster notifications about when things go up, and you even get extra credit points for that or whatever. We'll talk about that, but it's obviously not a requirement. But the link to the channel is in Google Classroom as of now. The other thing is, we're going to do everything on this whiteboard here. Oh, and there goes a video. Damn it, I shouldn't have said it. And the other thing is, I've debated about this. Of course, I could make all of those private links. I could make it all unlisted, but you'll see when you go to the YouTube channel that every single 203 class that I've taught since COVID is all up there. In other words, all the back classes are up there as well in other playlists. That can be really helpful, right? I mean, if like some semesters I say certain things a better way than other semesters or whatever, and the other sections are there. So, I mean, if you get anything at all out of this style of learning or doing things, just basically anything I've ever said on the topic is all there for your access. I mean, so it's a mixed blessing, but it does mean that I don't take it. If you miss a class for whatever reason, you had a doctor's appointment or whatever, that's your business. You're an adult. You got to do what you got to do. And you don't have to explain it to me if you miss a class, but then I will expect you're still responsible for the material. Then just like play the video from that day, attend class asynchronously on your own time. And you don't have to tell me that you did that, but just, I will assume that you can still get the material, even if you weren't here on a given day. Also on that note, I use this whiteboard to do equations, to solve all the problems. Mostly what we do is solve problems in this class. Again, today's more like a welcome day. But, we have homework. We go over the homework in the class. I write a lot on these whiteboard sheets. They will all, every single day, I write about 15 sheets or so on this whiteboard. I mean, typically that all becomes one big PDF, and that gets dropped into your Google Classroom right at the end of class. And it's all in a category called class notes. And it's just like class notes 1, class notes 2, class notes 3. So at the end of every day, you've got all the notes from the class, and you got a video posted within a few hours of the class. So I think that's one of the advantages. Like, I couldn't do that in the old days. I can do that now. So the good news is you shouldn't, any material that's important all material that's important happens in the class. None of it happens in some textbook somewhere. Everything happens in the class. So I do feel like you have total access to this class at all times, even if it's not in real time. You always have the notes, and you've always got the videos later. So again, I will expect, there are certain kind of questions I get sometimes where it's like, I just want to say, wait, before you ask me that, did you watch the video? You know, that type of thing. All right. Oh, before we also go any further, let me put this in there. Okay, what I just put in the chat, and again, I know I'm talking a lot here, and anytime anybody wants to interrupt me, even just take a breath would be great. But I just put my cell phone in the chat, my cell phone number. I encourage you to use it. I'll tell you, there's many times I think it would be even better for you to text than to email. I used to be terrible about email, and that's why I used to do this. Now, actually, I think I'm pretty good about email. I will get back to you email, but there's a lot of situations where it's actually just better to text me. And I'll tell you exactly, and I have no problem with it. And I'd rather know, again, I kind of want you to have all these options and all these ways of passing the class so that it's as easy as possible, but then also at the end of the day, so that, you know, if something bad happens, we know it's not. Anyway, what I'm saying is, you should feel free to text me at any time. It doesn't matter how late the hour is, because if my phone's on, I won't care. You know, if I can't get to the phone, then I can't, and it won't bother me. You can text at any time. But the reason I say you can text at any time, or what you can text about, is you can text me about things that are textable, i.e., as long as you, and I'll even write this in the chat. I sort of mean this to be cute. I don't mean this to be obnoxious, but here's the standard. As long as you, cool. Oh, sure. Thank you. And by the way, so someone just put a very fair question in the direct chat, in the private chat. It's private, so I'm not going to say the person's name. And at the moment, I'm not even going to repeat what the person said, but I am going to say it was a good use of private chat. And you do get points for that too. I'm going to explain that. And I will say, as we go further, when anybody uses the private chat, often what I'll do is, if it's a good question, like if it's a good physics question or whatever, I will often read out the question or some version of it, but I'll never read the person's name. Like if you use a private chat, that's because you want to stay private. I get it. But just know that sometimes, so I'll protect you, whoever you are, and I'll certainly never read out loud if it's like actually personal. But if someone if someone puts a physics answer in the private chat, but they put it privately because they don't want to be embarrassed if they were wrong or something like that, I totally get all that. But I will sometimes read things out loud if I really think the only thing that this person's concerned about is anybody knowing it's them. I will. Okay. So right now, I'm oh, I see. Okay. So the person who just put that's having Wi-Fi issues. Okay. But so we'll talk about how to use private chat versus public chat. But but yeah, so the deal with my phone number, okay, actually, I'm going to remind me to put it in again, because I think it's not going through to some people, or some people are losing Wi-Fi. So someone could just privately in 5 minutes remind me to put it in the chat again or something. But what was I just, but about texting me, I am darn serious that you should and could text me, but just use this standard. As long as you can write out a question to you, as long as you can figure out a way to ask me a question in text that literally will take me quicker time to answer than it took you to write out the question, then we're good. In other words, ask me direct questions is what texting is for. Like, what day did you say the exam was? Or should there be a minus sign here in problem 3 of the homework? Or could I have an extension on the home? Like yes, no questions, or multiple choice questions that I can just answer directly in 1 minute, that your life will be much better if you just did that. Go for it. You know, like if I can solve your stress in 30 seconds of a text, much better than writing out a whole long email, waiting till I get it, and then me having to write out a whole serious email. There's something about emails that's much more serious and much less fast and much less, you all know what I'm saying. So you can text me as long as it's actually a text. Do not text me and say, I missed the last 3 classes. Can you teach me energy? Like, no, Like that's not what texting is for, right? And I think you all understand that. So if I have to start writing out a whole huge thing, that's not fair. But if you can craft your question so that I can just give you a speedy answer and then bring your heart rate down, let's both, that'll help my heart rate too. That we both know that we're communicating and we don't have to go through the whole, so that's my phone number for texting to see if the person's back. To ask for it. No, she's not. Okay. So please do use that. That's a way to access me. And also definitely use that if you, office hours don't seem to be working in the old fashioned way or the official way with all Zoom, but I can make appointments with people. It tends to be more, I tend to have better phone conversations. I feel like that works better with those because people get all freaked out having a private Zoom, but I'll arrange what anybody wants to arrange. And the best way to arrange it with me is just text me. Oh yeah, very fair question. Okay, great question in the private chat. Great question. So basically question in the private chat, and I'm appreciative, by the way, all these questions are great because they also show that you're still here and alive and hearing me. Like there's a question here in the private chat about emails and texts. So like nobody could have asked that if I weren't sitting here talking about emails and text. So you got to know that that helps me that someone just asked that. And it's a good question. It's about preferred times. And the answer is no, actually, I don't have preferred times. Hang on one second. Speaking with one. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. My wife, ladies and gentlemen, a perfect woman. You can text or email me at any time. I will tell you, and it won't bother me. I'll tell you my likelihood of responding is much higher in the middle of the day. If you text me in the middle of the day, I really will try to get back to you in like a half hour at most, and maybe instantaneously. If you text me in the middle of the night, it won't disturb me. I won't be insulted, but you might have to wait till the next day to get a response. I'll also, since my wife just walked in, I'll also tell you something I learned from my wife. She's a very professional woman. She taught me like years ago, as a piece of advice, I won't mind if you text me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I won't mind if you email me in the morning, but it doesn't give as good an impression of your professionalism if you do that. Like it does seem a little bit more frantic and crazy if you do that. Like it will send up a little bit of a signal in my mind, like, oh, this person's kind of waking out, or like they're kind of not organized, you know, and I'm kind of a mess. That's why I learned this from my wife. Like you just might want to wait to the middle of the day, and you might not want, like, and especially if it's like right before an exam or something, you might not want to be that messy, but I don't care. You can send me emails or text anytime. If it's in the middle of the day, I'll respond more quickly. I will really honestly say my preferred mode of communication is fast texts. And if it's a long thing, if you have a big concern, my preferred thing is you send me a text that says, I have a concern, or it's kind of complicated. Can we set up a 20-minute phone call? Like, or something like that. If it's, you know, that's my preferred thing, is like, keep everything direct and short, but if it's actually extended, let's admit that and have a real conversation rather than, okay. Last thing that you just heard, so anytime is fine, honestly, but really the more you can keep it to texting, not emailing, I think it's better. But when you text me, at least for the first time, please say who it is. Please tell me who you are, at least the first time, you know, otherwise it is weird. I do teach like 5 classes. I mean, so it can get weird. Okay. Well, I'm going to pause for a minute. So this class will be posted when we're done. I mean, even all this nonsense will be posted on YouTube. The whiteboard I'm going to start using, and that will be posted. I got many more things to say, but I get the, you know, you have a separate lab class and a separate lab instructor. I believe, do you happen to know, I believe in this section, I believe your lab instructor is H. Walters. Is that, could someone confirm or deny that H. Walters is your lab instructor?
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, Saad, and thank you, Vivian, and thank you, private chat person. You're going to see soon, every single one of you that just answered that question is going to get points for doing that. You're going to see, and again, not to be weird, but like, I love the feedback. I love the participation. So you're going to see, like, especially if you happen to have just answered that in the chat, screenshot it, like right now, if you can. You don't have to, but I recommend, you'll see why. But thank you. And I'm going to start using your names too to acknowledge, or maybe I did already. Like, thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you, Charlie. And by the way, the fact that 3 of you gave the same answer does not undercut it's not a competition to giving that answer first. It just shows you're all paying attention. So thank you. Okay. So H. Walters, I love her to death. She's totally awesome. I hope you find her awesome as well. Like she wouldn't be doing it. Like nobody works in physics that I don't love and vice versa. We're a physics family and we really are. I'll tell you more about that later. But the point is with H. Walters, she'll have her own system of communicating with you. I don't know that she loves text. I would not assume that. You'll have to learn from her how to contact her and stuff. If you ever have a lab concern at all or a lab grading concern, I'll definitely go to her first. She's the boss of your grade in labs and your work in labs. If things get to a point where somehow you're not getting satisfaction or it gets at all something, you should know that she'll come to me in the background and say, I'm having an issue with the student, but you can as well. Like just both of you, she's your first line of defense in anything that happens in lab, grade-wise or whatever. But if you ever do have trouble even getting a hold of her, then just politely move to me and just say, we are a connected class. All the material is supposed to be connected. I'm supposed to know at all times what's happening in your lab, vice versa. And to be honest, also, as far as grades, I have to get to all the grading, but just so you know too, and this is a John Jay thing, it's a little bit different at other schools. You get 1 grade for this whole class. So what happens is all the work that you do in lab for Professor Walters, all the work that you do there all adds up and averages out and blah, blah. And she has her whole system and she'll tell you about it. But she didn't make it up. I mean, it's our standardized system, but then at the end, you'll get 1 final grade from her at the end. And that at the end counts for approximately 35 to 40% of this whole grade. So just so you know how it works, at the end, she sends me her final grades on all of you. And then I incorporate them into a final average, like manual, with Excel. And then I submit a final average to CUNY First at the end. So just so you do know, like and in all the years that I've worked with her, and it's been many years at this point, I don't think ever once I questioned any grade that, like whatever grade she gave me on a student was the grade that the student got. End of the story. But then I still am the one that then incorporates that grade into everything we're doing here. And I submit the 1 total to CUNY First. And I'm telling you that just so you know, like that's, so if you have a grading thing, you do want to go to her first and work, and she is, but in the end of the day, everything does then spit out from one system here. And you cannot get to, I know sometimes for e-permits and for Hunter and stuff like that, like people want a separate grade for their lab. We just don't do it that way at John Jay, for good or for bad. So, okay, I think you know that from your other classes. So, but don't text her, email her. I mean, she has her own system for communication. Okay. But I love her. I was at her wedding. She went through the whole John Jay experience. Believe she knows what it feels like. Okay. So that's all right. We have to get to, I'm going to pause for a second. Question. Oh, yes, thank you. Great question, so odd. Okay, great question. And am I saying it right, by the way?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Oh, okay, great. Okay. And again, and I hope this goes to 12. We're actually running out of, okay, I do have to, okay, that's a great question. Right. So the first answer is right, they're not. And again, this is for good or for bad. It's just the way it is. But right, for this entire Physics 203 package, and it is confusing. I mean, it's a great question because this is super important. It is super confusing. It's not obvious at all, but it is the way it is you get 1 grade for this whole Physics 203 package. You get 1 grade at the end on CUNY First. That includes lab, that includes lecture, that includes recitation. And that 1 grade in the end gets submitted by me. Like the lab counts as, in this class, I believe it's 40%. I mean, it's in your syllabus, but it's 35 to, it's somewhere between 35 and 40%. So, so the work that you do in lab super matters. But then that ends up just being a portion of this whole thing that I submit to CUNY First at the end. Now, lecture versus recitation, I'm so glad you brought that up. This is very confusing, very annoying. but very true what I'm about to say. The truth, and this is something I've been trying to change forever. It's a bureaucracy thing. Here, the reality is in physics, the reality is there's no distinction between lecture and recitation. The real reality is we really don't have. You could either say we don't have recitation in physics, or you could say we don't have lecture in physics. You'll be the judge of that when we're done. But let me be as clear, and this is not a good thing. I'm not pleased about this, but I just want to be as clear with you guys as possible. In some other classes that you will take, and in some other classes that you have taken, like Gen Chem, right? Recitation is actually a separate thing, right? Like in other classes, you have 150 minutes of total lecture time in the week, like say Gen Chem, I believe. You have like 275 lecture periods or maybe one 150-minute lecture period. You have a separate lab period. And then you have this 75-minute thing called recitation, right? In addition, which is usually with a different instructor. It's usually in a different room, you know, when we were in a building. And again, let me emphasize, it's usually in addition to the 150 minutes of lecture time that you already had with Professor Sheehan or whatever. Right. And in recitation, usually when they say recitation, it means you go into a separate room at a separate day with a separate instructor, and you there focus on going over the homework problems or something like, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but that's supposed to be the idea, that you're like working through the homework problems and stuff there together in a less formal way, as opposed to the lectures, which are lectures, right? In physics, we don't have that extra time. If you just add up your schedule, what we have in physics is 150 minutes of lecture recitation time per week, and we have a separate 150-minute lab. I'm annoyed by that. It's just been that way since before I got here. In other words, we have less time in this class than Gen Chem or some other classes. There's no good reason for that. It's a bureaucratic error that is just much slower for me to correct than it should be. So we just have 2 lecture periods a week, Monday 12:15 to 1:30 and Wednesday 12:15 to 1:30. I'm sorry, I don't mean that. I'm sorry, Monday 10:50 to 12:05 and Wednesday 10:50 to 12:05. They are both with me. They're both at this same Zoom, and I'm yelling now because I want this to be clear. I'm not angry. I'm so glad someone asked this question. I want you to know Monday and Wednesday is both here at the Zoom channel, both with me, both from 10:50 to 12:05. And once we get rolling, like after today, both are going to feel the same. Both basically are going over the problems kind of sessions. I mean, you may like them, you may not. They might feel like me more talking than they should. They might feel more like a lecture than a recitation, but we're mostly going to be going over problems. Just to some of you, they might feel more like a recitation than a lecture. I don't know, but I don't make any distinction between the two. One is called a lecture and one is called recitation. Honestly, just so that the registrar can say that we have a recitation period. It pisses me off. Excuse me. It's not something I'm happy about, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just an old historical clog in our bureaucratic system of CUNY. So what I'm here to tell you as clearly as I can is we have, as far as I'm concerned, we have 2 Yavor-bound classes a week. And hopefully the more you discuss and the more you participate, the less they'll feel like lectures. They're mostly for us here to go over homework and deal with homework and prepare for exams. We'll get to all that. They both feel the same. They're both indistinguishable. And all the material you ever do, some will be due Mondays, some will be due Wednesday. It's just all going into a pile called Physics 203, Section 03. It all goes to me. It all gets graded in the same way, all goes to the same grade. So I'm really glad the question was raised. It's a really good question. But from here on in, there is no distinction between LEC or rec. It's all one thing. And then lab is your other thing with Professor Walters. And now I'm going to pause and ask, because that's such an important question, because I know it's confusing. I know that's different from other classes and whatever. But because it's important, could I just ask if either Soad or anybody else could put in the chat whether did I actually answer the question? Does it make sense what I'm saying?
To me, yes.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you, Sohad, and thank you, Jayla. If I'm saying it right, I saw that. Thank you. Oh, here we go. I love this. So here's the point. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Brianna or Bree. Do you go Brianna or Bree? I'm sorry. We're about to see Bree. Okay, cool. Thank you, Bree. All right, no, thank you all. This is great. And every one of these yeses, I gotta talk about this before I run out of time, but you're getting points for every one of these yeses. And I know it sounds cheesy and kindergartenish, but hey, here we are. Okay. So that's the deal with that. So maybe it is actually time for me. I think it is probably time for me to talk about grading. Let me just, I know this screen thing is getting boring too. Okay. Okay, just checking. Okay. And we have till 12:05. Okay. I'm changing the view here. Okay. Now, again, I want to make it clear again. I love physics. I can't wait till we actually start talking about physics. I kind of want to talk about physics today if I can. But years ago, I used to make this point of just like on the first day, I would just talk about physics. I wouldn't talk about the syllabus, or I wouldn't talk about grading or any of those nuts and bolts because I thought they were too boring and I thought I would turn people off and stuff. I now know, as an older person with my own children, I know I'd rather on the first day. I mean, I hope you come back. I hope I'm not boring you to tears, but I know at this point that we need things to be clear rather than interesting, at least on the first day. And I know that you care about your grades, and I know that you deserve to have as much clarity as possible about your grades. So I'm going to talk about grades now, but again, it's not to scare anybody. And it's also not to say, like, once we get rolling, I'd rather people think about doing good work and knowing how to get the good grades from the good words. Like, let's not be obsessed about grades every day, but let me tell you how it works. And specifically what I really mean when I say how grading works, I'm really going to tell you what it means to do homework and how you get points for homework and participation so that we can even start getting some of those points today. And everything I'm about to say now is totally in the syllabus, of course. I mean, the syllabus is meant for that purpose and it is a contract, but there's no way I'm going to sit here and read the syllabus out loud to you. Like, that's ridiculous. You can read it on your own if you want, but we also know it's not even that. It's more like an instruction manual for a video game. Like, hopefully, like the syllabus is what you can consult when you're confused or concerned about something, and it'll back you up or back me, or if we get into a fight, God forbid, then the syllabus is our governing document for that fight. But hopefully we won't get into a fight. Anyway, hopefully what I'm about to say will be clear enough that you'll sort of never have to look at the syllabus. But if you do, you'll find the same information there. So this is how grading works. Okay, let me start by saying, okay, let me make this clear. Let me say that first of all, we're going to take these three main things of your work, and they together get averaged to make your base grade, not your final grade. Like, probably the most important thing I can say all of today about the whole grading system, the most important thing you need to know is, yes, these three big items up here on this page matter a lot, but they are not the sum total of your grade. they create your base grade. I don't, okay, so in other words, you're gonna have a midterm, and we'll talk about that. We don't have a date for it yet. We'll have a date for it soon, and we'll talk about it when it, and believe me, we're gonna prepare for it. You're gonna get a practice test for it. It's also gonna be a take-home test. Like, we'll talk about the midterm as we get closer. It's a real experience. It's not necessarily an easy experience, but it's not meant to be an arbitrarily stressful experience. But anyway, whatever it is, you're gonna have a midterm exam, you're gonna have a final exam, and you're gonna have all this work in lab. Those three numbers together will get added together and divided by 3, arithmetic mean. Those will get averaged, okay? And that will be your base grade. That's like where we start computing your grade from to give you a final grade from the end of class. But now here's the super important part, what I'm going to say on the next page. And it is super important. And sometimes people don't get this until they're in Physics 204, for heaven's sake. And it's too bad, because it's like, if you can get what I'm about to say from the get-go, you have a huge advantage in the class. Those 3 things together make your base grade. But then your ultimate grade will be a lot higher than that, is what I'm trying to say. It will be substantially higher than your base grade. Of course, I should. This always happens. You're going to see this right away. I always get to the most important thing right at the end of a sheet, and it always gets crammed at the bottom of the sheet or the page. I got to work on that. I'm going to turn the page in a second. Like it, and it's always like the most important thing I have to say always gets rushed right at the end of class. What I'm trying to say here, and this is why, and by the way, I'm taking notes as you see. My notes will be more clear once I'm doing equations and things that I'm better at. And I'm going to put this in a PDF and give to you, but you should be taking your own notes. You should be taking your own notes for no other reason that my handwriting is terrible. And we'll talk about your notes soon. But what I'm trying to say here, okay, and I'm watching the clock. I know we have 8 minutes left. What I'm trying to say here that's super important is you're going to do all these homeworks, okay? There's 2 different types of homeworks you may already see. There's like regular problem sets, 2 of which you already will have due next Monday. And I only have a couple minutes to talk about them. I was hoping to start them today. You're going to notice you don't need any textbook or any lecture to do those homeworks. You're going to be able to do them on your own and turn them in Monday. We'll talk about that for 2 minutes, but there are already 2 problem sets homeworks that are due Monday. The quick thing I can say about them is you get graded for effort, not correct answers. I can also say that you can also redo and resubmit improvements. We'll talk all about that when I'm not running out of time, but you'll get those regular there's 2 types of homeworks: problem sets that are usually each worth about like 20 points or something like that. 2 of them are due this coming Monday. You just try your best on them. The key is to answer as much as you can, whether it's right or wrong. Just put as much work as you can for as many questions as you can. Just don't leave things blank. And the more work that you put in, the more of the 20 points you'll get, okay? that's my quick version on that. And yes, they are due Monday, but there's also this other type of homework called game homework. Like you'll see that due 11:59 p.m. tonight is game turn 1. Anything that's called game is all about you just reporting very quickly. You reporting or reminding or indicating or screenshotting. Anything that's called game homework is where you just open up a new fresh document and you just take a sentence or two to tell me about any way that you participated, any way at all, that day. So like, for example, today, right? And I know we have 5 minutes, I'm saying this. Today, every single one of you that ever, any one of you that wrote yes in the chat, sorry. Yes. Wait. Hopefully. 1 second, sorry. I am trying to resend the number, but every time I try to resend it, hold on. Did you get? Sorry. I know we have 5 minutes. Hold on. Oh, did you get it? Okay. Because I know I keep, okay. Sorry. Okay. Oh, also for anybody, if you're my phone number is also in the syllabus and I'll try to put it, actually I'll put it in the Google Classroom just in case. I'm going to send it in the Google Classroom right now, my phone number, or right. Yeah, I am. If you can hear me now. So I also just put my phone number in the Google Classroom stream, if that helps. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting a little frantic because I know we have 4 minutes. So, okay. So like any one of you that wrote yes or wrote anything in the chat today or like said anything ever, if you see, there's an assignment called game turn 1 and it's due 11:59 tonight. All you do is just open up a fresh document there. Like you can do it directly into Google Classroom. You could do this in your phone. You're just going to type in like, today I said yes when you asked, can we hear you or whatever. If you can show a screenshot, even better. But like, it's not a matter of proof. It's a matter of reminding me. Or if you participated some other way, you just like, I told you to pronounce my name Bree, not Brianna, whatever. You just write that down for game turn 1. You turn it into me. It'll take you 2 seconds, and that it's just a moment of self-reflection for you to just to think about, did I participate at all today? And you tell me, and it's worth like, that would be worth like 4 or 5 or 7 points or something. I just see that. I'm just going to comment like, yes, you did. Thank you. Great to see. And I send it right back. It's a 2-second interchange, like cell phone texting, but you get 5 points for doing that. Okay. Every single day you get, and if you literally did nothing at all today, then you just don't turn it in. Okay. And then you just don't get anything. It's not a 0, you just don't get anything. So anytime, every single day before midnight, just take a moment to indicate to me some way in which you participated, and you'll automatically get points for that. Now, and then you'll see there's other portals too, like there's a game for video. If you have the people that showed their video today, they'll see that there's a portal called game video and it gives instructions, but they're just going to write there, yeah, I showed my video on the first day. Maybe they have a screenshot would be even better, but I mean, I'll remember, but it's just a reminder to me. And then they're going to get 7 points for that. Like they're going to get a little bit extra points because video is a little more risky to do, right? And there's other, and you'll see, and you'll notice that the special portals like video or like using your voice or using a screenshot, those are all not only worth a little bit more points than 5, but they are due October 1st. Like you don't have to do it every day. It's just like, if you ever do it from here until October 1st, put in the portal, you'll get points for it. And then I'll put up a new portal October 1st, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to see a lot of, so anything that's called game is just portals for points to reward you for participating and taking a moment to self-reflect and remind me of that participation. Okay. Again, I'm watching the clock. I know we're running out of time. What I want to tell you all is that all these points just accumulate and they'll all just go into your spreadsheet from Google Classroom. Like whether it's like problem sets are worth more, of course, because they are harder and stuff like that. But problem sets are worth 20 points, 30 points, 40 points. Game things are worth like 5 points, 7 points, 9 points, whatever. You're just accumulating all these points as you go. And then at the end of the semester, and I know we have like 1 minute left, at the end of the semester, each of you will have like 1,200 points or whatever, some huge number of points. I divide that pile by a scaling factor. Like last semester, I divided by 2. I divide by a scaling factor that's the same number for all people in the room. And what that ends up meaning is that everybody will have an average. You'll end up the average, you'll have like a pile of like 12 points that you accumulated, like once I scale it down, and those 12 points get added to your average. The key thing with my 1 minute left to say that I want to say is all this homework that you do, and you never, it's not percentages. Anything that you get wrong on the homework, whatever, well, you just didn't get those points, whatever. But anything that I'm giving you credit for, and it doesn't matter even about wrong or right. I mean, anything you left blank, you don't get the points for that. But like, there's 2 homework assignments due this Monday. I didn't say anything about them. I didn't teach you any physics yet, but any physics you need to know to do them is written right on the sheet. They give you the definitions, and they just want you to try to apply the definitions using your brain. It's not assuming that you have a background in physics. It's assuming you can read the instructions and try your best to just fill out those homeworks on separate sheets. Like don't, and I know I'm running out of time, but don't fill them out like right on the thing. Just print out that thing, then set up a new document, whether it's in Google Classroom or set up your own Word document or whatever, or I'm sorry, or just like write out on a separate piece of paper, like good old fashioned way, just write out all your work and your answers all clearly labeled, but then scan it in or photograph it in or whatever, make a document out of it, submit that for the homeworks. Again, just try your best. Try your best. It doesn't matter if you got answers wrong, and you'll see when we meet on Monday that you're going to have time to redo, resubmit. It won't matter if it's late or resubmitted, but what you need to know is that every bit of homework you do, whether it's the game homework or the true problem sets homework, all those points just accumulate, and at the end, they add to your average, and the typical average amount that people add to their average by doing all this is like 11, 12 points. In other words, it makes the difference between, like, you could have a B- average on your exams, but if you do all the homework and stuff like that, you could literally end up with an A- or A in the class. It makes a huge, so it's a huge portion of the class is doing that stuff. You're never punished for being wrong. You're just accumulating points like Mario coins or whatever as you go. And the more you accumulate, the higher your average is. Now, so try your best on the 2 homeworks that are due on Monday. As far as the game thing, just fill out before midnight tonight, just fill out like, and even if you said hello today, just write, I said hello. That is good enough. Okay. I don't want to take up your time. I mean, there are probably other questions. I'm sorry, but but if you're good, I'm going to hang out for a second if there's questions. But if you're good, then you go. Very nice to meet you all. I'll see you again Monday. I'm just going to stay here just in case there's questions, but I'll post everything. But thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate, and thank you for saying thank you. That counts as participation. If you said thank you, you can submit that, or if you say goodbye. But goodbye. Thank you so much. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for showing. Thanks. So you're good. Okay. You're good. You're good, Daniela. Okay. It's very nice to meet you, Daniela. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Do you have a question?
Oh, no, actually, no. It was nice to meet you. Actually, I was going to ask you something. Do you teach on Queens College?
Oh, no, I don't. Why? I don't. Why do I look like someone who teaches there?
No, I have my sister is a physics major.
Oh.
And yeah, and when you send us the link, I don't know, but it sent me to the Queens College, something like that. Yeah, and then like I asked her if she knew you, and she said like yes, but yeah, like she was a peer mentor for physics class.
Oh, wait.
And then yeah, I just asked her like, do you know him? And she was like, yes, but he was not my professor, but I know him.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I don't think I've taught it to. Maybe I have a twin, but I'll have to. But I love the place. I love Queens College, but to my knowledge,
yeah, it's nice. I love it. Yeah. But that was it. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to
I'll
meet
see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Bye.